everyone, welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are going to set up for the month of March, and we're doing that by playing the next round of the TBR Jar game. This is a game that I do with my friend. We each have a go at pulling prompts out of this jar, and I film my portion of the game. Each month I pull out 5 prompts, and it is just a way to guide my reading and give me some direction of what books to pick up over that month. I'm definitely not a mood reader. I like some structure to my reading. If I don't complete all 5 prompts, there is a slight punishment where the following month I have to pick up an extra prompt, making it 6. But otherwise, this is just more so to guide, not to inflict torture. I really enjoy doing this. It helps me with my reading. So I'm going to get into the game in a moment for March, but first let's look at February. I've got my prompt list here in my reading journal, and as you can see, all 5 have been ticked off as completed, so that means I only have to draw out 5 for March, which is great. The prompts that we had last month were Large Book, and I read 𝓬𝓲𝓭 by Marissa Meyer, and I gave that 4.5 stars. I originally had another book lined up for that one, but I changed when I realized that this book was fitting for it. It had more than 500 pages, so that was great. For author from Australia, I read Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, and I gave that 4 stars. For favourite trope, I read Accidentally Amy by Lynn Painter, and I gave that one 3.5 stars. For contemporary romance, I read The Fastest Way to Fall by Denise Williams. I gave that 5 stars. And for a library borrow, I read In a New York Minute by Kate Spencer, and I also gave that one 3.5 stars. So overall, a pretty good month, but let's flip through the book into our next section. We've got a blank slate here. We've got our jar ready to go. So let's slide this off to the side and we'll start playing the game. So there are no double ups in here. They're just prompts to deal with different types of books, genres, tropes, things like that, and there are a couple in here that I personally won't do just because they're put in for my best friend, and there's some in here for me that she won't do either, but I just thought I'd let you know that before we get into the game. So let's see what prompt number 1 is going to be, if I can get my hand in there. Okay, wow, that's perfect. I got sci-fi for my first one, and I already know what I'm going to do for that book. Next prompt will be, what have we got? Steal a book. So steal a book means I simply have to go to my best friend's shelf and take one of the books off her shelf and read it. Prompt number 3, if I can reach. Got one. Sim shall pick. So this means my best friend gets to pick a book for me to read out of my TBR. Prompt number 4. What have we got? Fantasy romance. Okay, I'm trying to think of what I've got that can cover that. And the last prompt is romance. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. We can work with this. Let's go see what books I pick. So for the first prompt, which is sci-fi, I am going to read the book Winter, which is the 4th book in the 𝓤𝓲𝓭𝓮 series by Marissa Meyer. This is a sci-fi dystopian universe, and it is dealing with different types of retellings within one world. So the first book is called Cinder, which you can guess is Cinderella. Scarlet was second, that was Red Riding Hood, and the third book was 𝓬𝓲𝓭, and that covered Rapunzel. So this one, Winter, is covering, if you can't guess by the apple on the front, Snow White, and Winter has been just established in the end of 𝓬𝓲𝓭, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know her more. Her character seems very interesting. My friend and I have been reading this whole series, like I mentioned, and it's, yeah, really been quite fun so far. I didn't expect to like it as much as I have, but I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It is very chunky. It's 800 and something pages long, 823 by the looks of things. So yeah, going to give this one a go. And the first 8 days it's scheduled in already of the month, so yeah, looking very forward to reading this. I don't really want to say too much about the plot, but basically, like I said, it's set in a dystopian sci-fi intergalactic sort of world where the inhabitants of the moon, or Luna, are able to influence the people on Earth, and the Queen of the Moon has threatened Earth, and they're now at the start of a war, and the characters that we've met in the previous books have connection to someone who can stop the Queen, who is the rightful heir of the throne of Luna, and it's all about trying to get that person hopefully on the throne. I have good hopes for this book. I'm excited to finish it, but yeah, very chunky. That's winter. The next book on the list was Steal a Book, or prompt, sorry, was Steal a Book, and I have stolen At Your Age, Eve Brown by 𝓤𝓲 from my best friend's shelf. This is the third book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and I believe it's a Grumpy Sunshine. I haven't read the back of it for a while, but I'm pretty sure she's a chef and she ends up at B&B. Yeah. Yes, I believe so. She works as a chef and she ends up at his B&B, and it's run down, and I think they save it together. That's probably a very low assumption of what the actual book is about, but from quick read on the back it says, yeah, that Jacob Wayne is the main male character, and he is an uptight B&B owner and expects nothing less than perfection from his employees, and she has applied for the chef position. So yeah, looking forward to finishing the series. The first book I read in the first year that I returned to reading, so that was 2021, and I wasn't very impressed with book 2. I had mixed results with that one, so I kind of don't have high expectations to enjoy this one either, but I do want to finish the series this year. So and it was also the shorter book of the 2 that I pulled off my friend's shelf, and I've got a few chunky books this month, so that's why I picked this one. Next is Shall Sem Pick, or sorry, Sem Shall Pick, which basically means whoever gets the card has to be, the opposite one has to pick it. So I'm Shall, my best friend Sem picked for me Mysteries of Thorn Manor by Margaret Rogerson. Now I have this as an arc, and I gave her the list of all the arcs that I have that I need to complete in the next little bit, and my kind friend in Ireland sent this to me, so that's how I've got an early copy, because here in New Zealand we can't get our hands on this until April. So I am going to read my arc copy of Mysteries of Thorn Manor. I'm very excited for this. This is the sequel novella to Sorcery of Thorns, and I absolutely loved that book. So I believe that the manor is having a bit of an issue. They're having some sort of crisis of being able to keep themselves. What does it say? Yes, the wards around the manor are malfunctioning and they trap them inside the house, so that's going to be really interesting. I'm very excited to read this. It's only 200 pages, or I think 198 pages, so not very big, and that'll be great. I'm also going to read this with my best friend, so I think that's another reason why she picked it, and she's actually going to use my copy, which will be great, so we can both read it at the same time. And then fantasy romance, I am going to be picking another arc, and it is Songs of Vice by Nicole Bailey. This is the first book in the series. It's called The Siren's Call, and I believe that Lyra is the main character, and she is trying to escape her mother's siren troop. How do you say it? Troop? Sort of like band of people. And she tries to flee, and she gets mixed up with some handsome stranger set on a dangerous mission to reclaim stolen magic. I read the first series by this author. Well, I think it was her first full series. I could be wrong. Apollo Ascending last year, and that was about Greek gods. I was really interested in it. I didn't give it very high ratings overall. I gave it 3.5 for every single book, but I really like the way that this author takes tales, mythology and all that, and swaps it around and makes it her own story. So I'm really hopeful for this one. I am going to hopefully read the whole series, but we're starting with book 1 and seeing how I go. So that is due this month and comes out on the 16th of March. So that'll be one of the first books I read for the month. Okay, and so for the final prompt we have romance, and I am going to read Crazy Stupid Bromance by Alyssa K. Adams. This is book 3 in the Bromance Book Club series that this author has written, and we as a book club at Pros Before Bros have been reading the series. So we've done books 1 and 2, and now we're up to book 3. And I chose this for my romance because I definitely know I'll get to it. So this is about Alexis and Noah, and they've both been introduced in the first 2 books. Noah in the second one, and Alexis has been there a little bit from the first one and then more in book 2. Alexis has just sort of shot to fame, and after coming out as a victim for the celebrity chef from book 2. And it looks like she needs some sort of help because someone comes into her life that she wasn't prepared for, and she wants to do probably background checks. Noah is a computer genius, and he is very good at hacking and doing things that probably are quite illegal, but is very good at his job, and so she turns to him. They are childhood best friends, and it turns out that Noah has had the longest crush on Alexis, so it is a friends to lovers. I'm very hopeful for this one. I didn't love the second book all that much. I gave book 1 4 stars, I gave book 2 3 stars, and I really liked the male character in book 2, but I disliked the female character and the way the plot went in the last third of the book. But I did enjoy Noah and Alexis a lot in book 2, so I'm hopeful their book will redeem the series a little bit for me. So we're reading that at the latter part of March, so that's when I'll finish that prompt. So now that I have listed off the books for the prompts, I have a TBR each month that is 8 books long, so that's 5 books off the prompt list already added to the TBR, and every month I have a book of the month. So 𝓬𝓲𝓭 by Margaret Rogerson is the book for March, and I have no real recollection of what the synopsis to this is. I basically am just trying to get through my physical TBR, and this was the book chosen for March. So I think it's Artemisia. I'm saying that wrong, I know I am. She's training to be a Grey Sister, tasked with cleansing the bodies of the dead so that their souls can pass on, otherwise they rise as spirits with a hunger for the living. When her convent is attacked, Artemisia defends it by awakening a revenant. Wielding this ancient spirit's extraordinary power almost consumes her, but only a 𝓬𝓲𝓭, a priestess trained to wield a revenant, has any chance of saving L'Oréal. I'm guessing that's the convent, or the place that they are. So yeah, that sounds really interesting to me. I absolutely love Margaret Rogerson's way of writing. I cannot remember if this is book 1 in the series or not. I'm not too sure, but as you can tell, this month of March is very much so a Margaret Rogerson and a Marissa Meyer month. So I'm just going to get through as much of their books as I can in the month of March, because I'm finally Yay, finally picking up Cursed. That is the last book on the TBR. Oh no, I've got one more to share as well. But this book here has been on my TBR and it keeps getting kicked off every month for the longest time. And to the point that I actually just stopped putting it on. It was meant to be in my hands in November. I did not get a copy of it until the last day of 2022, so in December, and then by that stage, January and February, I didn't get to it in January. We decided to do this as a buddy read for March. So my friends who have read 𝓬𝓲𝓷, so my best friend and another friend, they've read it and we're going to read it together and get through it together. So this is book 2 in the duology by 𝓤𝓱𝓮𝓻. It is a Rapunzel retelling. Sorry, not Rapunzel, 𝓬𝓲𝓭𝓮 retelling, and it's set with a lot of Germanic, I'm saying that wrong, folklore, and I really enjoyed 𝓬𝓲𝓷. It was so good. Absolutely loved it. The whole storytelling, the folklore, the darkness of it that you don't expect. It was just thrilling. And I really love that the 𝓬𝓭, which is the villain, is a really great villain. I've noticed that 𝓤𝓱𝓮𝓻 has a fantastic way of writing villains and making you want to believe in their cause. And whilst he is so awful, what he does make sense, which is so frustrating to me as someone who wants to fight for the good cause. So yeah, this follows on from book 1, and 𝓬𝓲𝓭 has to try and navigate her way out of her entrapment and everyone else who's trapped there in the castle with the 𝓬𝓭, and it's going to be quite dark and deadly games, I'm sure, to get away from him. So yeah, I'm going to finish this duology over March. And the final book that I have to share over March is The Foxglove King by 𝓤𝓮. I have read, full disclaimer, I have read maybe 20 pages of this already. It is an arc and it's out very early into March. I'm really behind in being able to read it. I've had a family emergency over February, and so I've had to delay a lot of things. So this one will be first off the list along with Winter. Okay, so this book is about Law, and she has a really interesting power. From what I've gathered so far from my reading, the magic system in this is around what you can gather, like power from dead, so in the land and people. It's like a what is it called, 𝓤𝓮, and it's a magic born from death, and it is incredibly illegal and high-priced commodity in the area that this is set in. What is it called, 𝓬𝓷, and it's Law's job to keep, she runs positions around smuggling the poisons through areas, and she's also been sort of undercover with someone that she's been staying with at the start of the book to uncover their secrets and stuff. She essentially was found when she was 13 by these two people, and they've taken her in and given her some sort of security as long as she completes their sort of jobs and what they're looking for. And she gets thrown in to this sainted king's glittering court at some point, because she gets caught displaying this highly forbidden gift of being able to utilize 𝓤𝓮 for her own doing. So that'll be really interesting. It's deemed apparently a for people who like The Cruel Prince and To Kill a Kingdom, I think, from memory. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It's also a fantasy romance, so I've got 2 options that way for that prompt. So that is my TBR for the month of March. I'm really looking forward to it. I have quite a few buddy reads for March. I have 2 book club buddy reads, and I have so far 4 individual buddy reads with friends. So very busy. I'm looking forward to getting through as much of my prompts as possible. As you can see, I've gone ahead and filled it in. yes, I'm looking forward to getting through all the prompts. I know I can fill all of them, and I will be back with a video sometime very soon. It'll probably be the monthly wrap-up for February. Thank you again for spending some time with me today. I hope you're all well, and I'll see you in a new video. Bye everyone.